let's get back to a radio. I've cleaned up the workspace. As you know, this is all going to change come spring, and I'll have another video in the future showing some of the ingredients that I'm going to be making and have made involving that new bench. But in the meantime, pardon my back forth camera work, it's shitty, I know. I'm going to work on the 1950 Popular Mechanics Portable Knockout Super Hit. I built this in about 2003, and it needs a little work. One of the first things I need to do is this chassis is cut properly. That's not a problem at all. The problem I'm coming across, first off, is simply mechanical fit and finish, and I'll show you why. Now that the chassis is out and resting on top of the battery holder, I think you can see why. When I built this, I made this a fairly long skirt in the back. In fact, what I can do is show you back here. In relation to the front holder, it goes at an angle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure out how long this front part goes, equal it up with that, and cut it out with a Dremel tool. Now that's much better. That's the way it should stand. Completely tall, completely level with the battery holder. Now what this is the A battery down here. There's two C cells in parallel. The original used 3 D cells in parallel, and they were all soldered together, which I'm not about to do. Especially with these new batteries, they just don't hold up too well if you solder them because of the seals that they use. And then this is our B battery. This is one of those Tony Marr 67.5 volt engines that does 67.5 volts from 4 AA's. So now everything is standing pat just like it should. Now to get on to some cleanup. This was before I discovered the wonders of heat shrink tubing. This connection between the A batteries and these wires is just totally unsatisfactory to what I want. Plus there's also lead dress, which is causing all the excess parasitic oscillations, and I think the way I'm going to be able to solve that is by moving, rotating this oscillator coil over, so we don't have crossovers like this. You're not supposed to have the primary and secondary cross in any way, shape, or form, so I'm going to try repairing that as well. And probably the easiest way is to rotate it this way, so that these rotate over here, and then these, the green and the black, should all rotate the proper direction away from each other. So first thing I'm going to do, let's clean up this. Well, unfortunately, as best as I could not find any of my heat shrink tubing. I bought 2 containers of it, 2 packages. And because of this mess, which I'm hoping to take care of later on in the spring, I can't find it. So, back to tape, but I did one special thing. After I wrapped it, I took a soldering iron to the very edges, the seam, where one layer meets up with another, and melted it down. So this should not come loose. So the A package is all set to go, and that just plunks into here, held into place, and we'll tuck the wires later. The B battery terminals are fine. I may go on ahead and insulate those, but those are going to be a little bit. The next thing I want to work on is the oscillator. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to, in fact, you know, let's get some light. There, that's much better. I'm going to desolder the oscillator coil. And the idea is to rotate this over this way so I can bring the red and the blue wire closer to the bottom and keep the green and the black from crossing over, which is probably the main reason why I'm getting all sorts of spurious oscillation. Alas, my oscillator coil bit the dust. We have a casualty. That green wire, there's supposed to be a teeny tiny hair-like wire that broke off. So unfortunately, I could probably repair that, but I don't have the time or patience. Besides that, always carry a spare. Well, I just realized I'd made a big mistake when I did this radio. See, when you do these, you can barely see the paint. So one's down here on where my finger's at here, which I'm flicking. Those are red and blue. That's your primary, and then these are your secondaries. And the way you're supposed to do this is aiming towards the tube that you're going to attach the primary to. Red and blue should be here. I had red and blue this way. Well, no wonder half of this stuff wasn't working. So, in light of all the miscabobbles that I've done here, at this point I have no confidence in this chassis. I'm going to have to cut myself another one. So first thing I've got to do is to check to see if I have any spare metal. And if I do, I've got to get myself cutting a new chassis and make it proper. The original chassis has now been taken apart. A model was made up in Paint Shop Pro, printed out, and now we have a new chassis. And this time the IF cans are oriented in the right position. Everything's cleaned up, ready to go. Time to let the wiring commence. There we go. Filament windings are now in place. Next thing is just to attach a battery and see what it does. Quick jump. I went ahead and finished the radio, and it does a whole lot better than what it did.
And he basically turtled. You're like, oh, here it goes down. Basically, Sanchez.
It's a lot more open than it used to be. There's 700. And that's the lower end of the band. Then we go here. Yeah, I need to probably adjust that. That's the Spanish station. That shouldn't be up that high. That should be over towards that way. But still here. So there's some tweaking that still needs to be done. But I'm very happy with the response now. It performs a whole lot better than it did. Still wants the tendency to fart and squeal, but not near as bad. So, let me do a little more tuning, and we'll give it a shot. Okay, now that I've got the radio running the way it should, only other thing I've got to do is I got to work on this switch. There's something flaky about it. And for some reason, Radio Shack is closing at 7 in the evening. Right off the time that I get off for work. So I'm going to have to see if I can try to get to them before they close and see if I can get a replacement. Either then or I'm going to take this thing apart. It's kind of flaky. Other than that, this is working just beautifully. The last thing I want to do, and I can't do it from here, I'll just do it this way. I want to put pointers on each one of these, especially over here for the tuning. a little wrap around the shaft and have a pointer that sticks out. Now, in order for me to do that, I am going to do a little modification to this cabinet. I'm going to cut out this section here, the inner part on both sides. I may even just take this part out. And what will happen is there'll be a new cover that goes over this. But these will be out, exposing this chassis part. And then the pointer, you'll be able to see them through each one of these, and I think that's going to make for a major improvement. Okay. They're all set, and what I'm going to do is I'll put a pointer over here. That'll go around. I'll probably need to widen this out just a smidgen. And then this one will be, this is the tuner, and it'll have a pointer that'll go around as well. And yeah, that worked out pretty well. The only thing I would probably do is black out these screws so it's a total black background, and then it'll just be the pointer floating in space in a black background. I think that worked out pretty nicely. For the new chassis, the speaker was right on target, just where I need it to be. This was probably a little lower than it should have been, but that's alright, because what's going to happen, there's going to be a mask that covers over these two portions anyway. And yeah, I think that works out real well. The other thing I did is I still need to tighten this down a little bit. I'm probably going to put another spacer. I have a rubber washer in there now, and I thought it was going to hold it, but it's still kind of wobbly, but it doesn't come out, which is really nice. I made damn sure it's not going to come out. Tight, I'd like to have it more down to here and then move it back and forth. But, yep, so far so good. This is working out really nicely. Alright, here's the next update. It's been a few weeks. I've put an escutcheon together. These are going to have to be a little bit smaller. I'm just trying to figure out how this is all going to work. I now have pointers. I just took a couple of regular pointers and I glued them to each one of these knobs. So now we have indicators. And like I said, I'm going to have to readjust these, make them smaller. Notice they're off center. With the new escutcheon, I can adjust this because there's still a hole here. I just need to readjust and realign it. But on top of that, let me pull this off. I have the radio pretty much done at this point. It's reassembled. The next thing I want to do is to realign it, and I'll be doing that shortly. I made a new platform for the A and B battery shelf. The original one just wasn't working, and whenever I'd have to change batteries, this would come out too, and it got to be a real pain in the butt. Plus I had some new fit and finish issues with the chassis. Since the new one, there's a little bit of a gap there, and it just doesn't fit as well as the original one, so I wanted to redo it. So I used 2 layers of masonite to hold that together, and then on top of that painted it, make it look nicer, and it is now cemented into the cabinet, so it's not going to be coming out. On the other hand, these will still come out. This is the A shelf and this is the B shelf, and I did get some what's that stuff called? Yeah, see, after 6 o'clock my brain just dies at this point. Just heat shrink. Thank you. So what I'm going to do now, in fact, I'll just give you a quick demonstration. It's just not really up to snuff yet, and I think what I need to do is to give this a full alignment. So let me move this knob. Everything fits just nicely the way it should now. Here we go. I put a piece of Vero board, or I think they also call it perf board here, to hold this in place, and it wobbles a little bit, but not near as bad. But it's a little bit stiffer. Alright, we're going to put that up, put this on. Put a new switch on, by the way, it was a bit bulky. So,
Hey, it's Gumby. Remember how happy you were when you got me for the holidays? Well,
Gumby?
happy again with a great deal on a Honda Civic during the Happy Holiday Sales Event. And then have wild adventures. Get something you'll love at the Happy Honda Day Sales Event and get 0.9% APR finance.
yeah, he was Gumby. Yeah, I haven't heard that name in ages. Okay, that's WLW. Now, see, there's one problem. This is based on the original Popular Mechanics dial. That claims that 55's on this end and 160's on this end. This tuning capacitor is the dead opposite. So these 55's over here, this is going up to 700. It's roughly about where it should be. It's just weak. But it does play. I see, there's the Hispanic station. That should be down here. So what I need to do is to give this thing an alignment. And I've got just the tool to do that with. It's this gadget. This is an RCA station allocator from 1940. It's a push-button signal generator. This was built in the days when radios had push buttons. It was specially made during the great, I don't know if I'd call it great, but in terms of size and magnitude of what happened, I would call it great. The Great Station Shift around 1941, where the FCC basically told most of the radio stations, you got to switch over to a new frequency. So you had all these people that had, let me turn the light off, by the way. There we go. Let me see. No, it's still on. There it goes. You had all these people who needed their push-button radios realigned to their new stations, and most people just couldn't do it by themselves. And for regular service people, doing it was kind of a pain in the butt, because you have to do with just a regular signal generator like this one. You twist the knob, get it to where you need to be, set the station, twist the knob, take it to the station. This thing, it's push-button. And I've got them all listed out of what they are, and I did check up there with my signal generator. If I hit 540, it'll be roughly there. 539, you can't beat that. And all you do is, I've got this set up for the 455 IF, 540, 700, 810, and it will generate a tone. The neat thing about this radio, I'm sorry, this, I was getting ready to say, this generator, this size of this cabinet, it's the exact size of an RCA BP10 personal radio. In fact, it was missing the back. The back here is this metal piece. That is from a BP10. It's battery and it's AC. I'm using it on AC right now. And you have a, you can do modulation with the tone, or you can have it silent. You can switch it between battery and AC, and then of course, you know, on and off. If you can see in here, there's a neon bulb glowing. That lets you know the thing is on. And to get to set these, you just take this plate off, and there's a bunch of little trimmers to adjust. So what I'm going to do now is set this up, and I'm going to go between the low end and the high end, try to get everything adjusted on this thing, adjust the IF, and see how everything turns out. Boy, that really worked out nicely. It still doesn't have the volume I would like to have, but I probably will not get that. But in terms of sensitivity, wow, what a difference. So without further ado, I still have to do the bezel. And I may do that on a later video, but I want to get this done, because I've got other things I want to try to finish. It's been well over a month since I've posted last, so let's turn this thing on. This is the 1950 Popular Mechanics Portable Knockabout Superhet, which I pretty much call the Lunchbox Portable Mark II. And we're going to start backwards. We're going to start at the top of the band, work our way back. Now you hear all that noise in the background? I didn't have that the last time when I first did this. Let's go ahead and see what we got.
sort of interesting.
This is 1430.
And to watch these weathercasters put their reputation.
See, I get a lot of rumble. Make it nice and clean, if you want to call it that. It's still a little rumble, but it's still faint. That's 1310.
Did not play as well as they wanted to, so for IUPUI in the second half, they'll have to do a better job of that.
1260.
Another thing that Drake did, which was interesting.
That is probably Anderson, one of the stations up there.
Which is a real good ball. And I think we have a long way to go.
I believe this is 1070.
Definitely, but we had stretches, they look really good. At the end of the race, and how it all went.
Actually, that's 1070, so I was getting other stations in there.
Tonight, we'll be able to go home.
A lot more stations than I did originally when I built this.
And financially.
Going to play Texas A&M at least when it's our turn to go to College Station. It's a tradition.
Lots of sports stations on the air. Not sure what that is.
Chevy's the #1 selling brand in the Tri-State with the most dependable, longest lasting.
This is WLW.
Chevy dealer for details today.
Somewhere here should be WSM in Nashville. And unfortunately, after that, it drops off precipitously. So I'm willing to, I don't say lick my wounds, but since this thing doesn't start at 550 until if it's leased up here, I don't mind. So we go here. Considering there's a mismatch of parts, the oscillator coil and the tuning capacitor are from two different radios, but I wanted one with a vernier tuner, so I'm just glad the thing works at all. And I've tuned it up as best I could. I probably could tweak the antenna one more time. So here, there's hand capacitance for you. There you go, there's WSM. Oh, a little hand capacitance. Well, I'm pretty happy with it. So, without further ado, let's put on WLW.
3623. Also at the half, it is number 23 Creighton ahead of Eastern Illinois, 39-20.
And at this point, I will go ahead and leave you with this. I may do an epilogue later when I improve the dial and make it proper. But I am going to finish this. And once again, I present to you now the second version, the better version, the improved version, one that I'm going to learn from, have already, of the 1950 Popular Mechanics Portable Knockout Superhits.
Once again, the final score tonight from fifth.